Let's get to work. Come on.
Welcome to the Master of Trades podcast with your host, Perry Allison.
Welcome to the Master of Trades podcast. I'm your host, Perry Allison, and today we're going to talk about something that is just absolutely necessary for every great company, every great organization, every great sports team. Any winning environment has this at the epicenter of who they are, what they do. It is culture. It is a way of acting and being and doing as a team, as a group of people, uniting under this is who we are, this is what defines us. And what's so interesting about culture of any sort, like religious culture, regional culture, company culture, military culture, is that people enter into these environments without knowing anything about the culture, without being anything that culture represents. It is something that is developed over time. It is something that starts with education, and then it is progressed and developed through accountability. And it is the most important part, right? So if you're a company that's doing $100 million a year in revenue, if you're a company that's doing $3 million worth of revenue, if you're a startup, if you're an employee, if you're a husband, if you're a mother, like this is for you. Culture, the discussion of culture is so vital. It is the most important thing right now and is absolutely under discussed, especially in business settings. What I love right now about this period of time, let's just say in business, right, in work, whatever we do to make money is changing rapidly right now. And the way that things are moving, the way that information is flowing, the way that things are getting done. There's AI, there's global workforce, there's softwares and means to get things done so exceptionally fast, it's insane. But all of those things are pointless without having people behind the scenes to orchestrate and to guide all of those tools, those hardwares, softwares in the right direction, in the direction of the company's intention. And so it really comes down to people. So I'm a big systems guy. I also love sales. And so, I'm big on standard operating procedures, standard ways that we do things. I'm all about process. How do we do it? Is it written? Is there clarity around this? Okay, KPIs. We could nerd out on data all day long. We could look at numbers. We could finely tune our organizations to exactly what we have in our mind and ensure that the outputs and the results are exactly what we intend. There are ways to do that now more and more than ever before and more precisely than ever before. And, it seems like as far as people go in our organizations, there's lots of talk with business owners about doing cultural indexes and personality assessments and where does this person fall on the scale of default operating personalities. Like that stuff is fine. It's fine. It's good to know people at a deeper level and kind of understand, hey, is this person typically inclined for this type of role? But there's way too much of an importance placed on it and a thought that these are silver bullet ways of analyzing people, when at the end of the day, man, there's no telling who people actually are. You can have these default ways of being and doing, but underneath all of those default styles is an actual true character that really can't be measured. You might have the most charismatic, incredible communicator, salesperson, but with a low character, that person's not going to show up and perform. You could have a salesperson with low charisma, where their communication style isn't so polished, and yet they have high levels of character, resilience, tenacity, reliability, and then they do pretty well, right? So it's like, what's at the heart of people? That's really what's most important. And so in my companies, we really emphasize process, SOPs, dashboards, controlling what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and then looking at data. So all of that is necessary for business owners. Like, hands down, you got to have that, because that absolutely directly affects your culture. That's a foundation of bringing people into environments where there's lots of clarity. Clarity is kind, bringing people into this is the roadmap. This is how we do what we do. This is what we stand for. So that foundation is really essential. And again, in your home, with your friendships, like what are we doing here? What do I stand for? What does this family stand for? Those foundations are really important, but that's not the end of the game. And that's where most business owners, I could speak to this, that is where their thoughts start and stop in terms of how do I grow and maintain my company. It's all based off of these really tangible activities. And so that's where culture really comes into play and what I'm so excited about. So today, what we're going to be talking about is what unites a culture. And so I work with the global workforce. I work with folks all around the world. Now we are in 10 different countries within my primary organization. And that's a lot of cultures. That's a lot of different ways of doing, being, thinking, acting that directly, in some ways, complement and some ways compete with other cultures on our very same team. We're talking about religions. We're talking about socioeconomic experiences. We're talking about, I've been used to hot showers all my life. Some of our team members haven't been used to clean water their entire life. Like lots of different cultures, religious norms, and things that are acceptable to one religion is not acceptable. So there's a lot going on in our company. And so instead of trying to mesh and mingle all these different cultures together, what I found and what's important, whether you have one country operating within your company or you have many, what is the culture that unifies all of us? Because you can have those differences between, thinking in terms of California. There's a big difference between Inglewood and Hollywood. There's a big difference between Newport Beach, okay, and Hawthorne, right? Like those are two different people that come out of there. So regardless of where your people are coming from, it's essential that you have a well-defined culture. What are some things that are universal? So coming from my standpoint, where we work with people all around the world, what are the universal themes that pretty much everybody's interested in? Well, everybody's interested in money. It's weird. Every single country on this earth has a currency, whether it's a peso, a dollar, a yen, a won, a whatever. Like we all have currencies. We all have money and we all need money. Whether you live in a communistic society, socialist, capitalist, like we all use and require money. So money is something that unifies us. Okay, good. But money, if you've had any of it, you realize, man, that's an empty reward at scale. And there's this other thing called fulfillment, significance, satisfaction, and there's this other thing called joy. And joy exceeds happiness. Joy is, even in my most miserable states, I still feel a joy and a significant satisfaction towards where I'm going. And so I feel joy even in these hard moments because I know that I'm still on the journey. I like to look at life and really business. And as I'm developing people and as we're going in a very specific direction, growing our organization, it's really just a road trip. It's really just getting in a car and going to a destination. So let's say, you're starting in Los Angeles and you intend to go to New York. Well, it's important to know where you're starting and where you're going. And that alone, most businesses have not done a good job defining. This is where we are today, and this is where we are going. Most businesses, most business owners often have this shiny object syndrome where we're trying to do so many different things all at the same time. So that alone is a big piece, but defining where we're going and then how we're going to get there. What vehicle are we going to take? What are all the different interchanges and highways? And where are we going to stop overnight? Where are we going to stop to eat? What are the sites we want to see along the way? And on that road trip, there are going to be some really less than attractive areas. Okay. Like going from Los Angeles to New York, you're going to have to pass through some deserts and some maybe less than great neighborhoods. but at least you know you're still on that path. You're still going to a destination, and this is a necessary part of the trip. So this is all about culture, providing people with that level of clarity so that they know, regardless of the experience that they have day to day, that they're going a direction that's ideal. So these are some things that are universal. These are some really good concepts to unite anybody around, because everybody desires those on a personal level. And I just said something really important, personal level. Okay, this is the fundamental, the epicenter of any great culture is tapping in to people's personal motivations. And as business owners, I can raise my hand and say I have absolutely failed at this. For the majority of my entrepreneurial career, I have failed at this. And every single day, I communicate with business owners who do not have that piece in consideration. What do my people want? What excites them? Do I know what those things are? Do they know what those things are? And most of the time, their people have no idea what those things are. The average American has not thought about what their goals are, I would say, since they were 10 years old. Now, that's not real data behind that, but just go ahead and ask some questions and ask people what they want. And the blank stare on their face will tell you everything you need to know. Like, it's been a long time since people have thought about what makes me tick, what excites me, where do I want to go in life, what could I be? The last time we thought about that was we wanted to be an astronaut when we were 10. And that's about where it stops. But if we do get an answer from some people, it's, I want to buy a house. And that's where that goal stops. Because when you drill down a little further, what city is your house located in? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? What color is it? Describe it to me so I can visualize it. Most people will not be able to explain that to you in that level of detail. And if you do get them started thinking about this and they start to explain what that looks like, you're going to see an emotional reaction. You're going to see their face change. You're going to see a smile. You're going to see kind of a fear. You're going to see this trepidation of like, oh man, that is what it would look like. It's buried down so deep that when they start to pull it up, it's almost scary to them that is kind of what I want. Uh-oh. Now that I verbalize that, there's an accountability to go after it. And most business owners, we've never tapped in to what our people want in that way. And it's a missed opportunity, and it's tragic. It's really tragic. But this is at the epicenter of culture. What do our people want? Because here's the reality. Why would we even care about that in the first place? Well, because your people do not care about your business. Your people don't even care about you. And that's just logic. That's just logic. Because you haven't cared about them. People who care about other people actually genuinely want to know, how are you doing and what do you want? Many of us don't even have friendships that are that deep. And many of us don't actually care about our friends. So as a business owner, as an economic leader to your people, as someone who is literally, as John Maxwell puts it, the lid for your people. It's the law of the lid. Your people will never climb higher than you have climbed. They will never achieve a happiness greater than what you have achieved, typically, because they are so influenced by you and the culture that you set in your organization that when they're there for 8 hours and they're in the thick of it, they're just going to become that culture that you set. So when as a business owner, we stop and we ask these penetrating questions and we demand an answer that moves people. Yes, demand. More than you demand a deadline on a project, you demand an answer to this. And if the answer is not true and it is not something that is real for them, you do not pass go. You sit with them and you say, I don't believe you. I don't believe that's your dream. I don't believe that's your goal. I don't believe that makes you tick. Because if it actually did, then they would shoot back with vigor, with emotion. Don't you tell me what my goals are. That's my goal. You would get some sort of reaction like that. And if they, instead of respond to you in a melancholy way, well, no, that's real for me. That's not real for them. They need to sit on it, and you need to demand it, because that's what friends do. That's what loving relationships do. I don't believe you do better. There's more in you, and I'm here to pull it out. That is what a coach does. That is what a leader does. We pull out greatness from our team. But the only way to pull out greatness from our team, and a lot of business owners, they would agree with that statement. Good businesses, good business owners and leaders will pull out greatness from their people, but they think of it in terms of performance greatness. Well, I pull out the best performance from my people. Well, you're never going to get the best performance from your people until their performance is directly correlated with their goals and what they want. So it's a farce to think that you're getting the best performance from people without them being directly connected to the outcomes that they want in life. And most of the time, they don't know what those outcomes are. So sitting with them on that's one of the very first things that we do at our company. What are your PPFs? What are your personal, professional, and financial goals for the next year, for the next 3 years, and for the next 5 years? And for the next year, that's where we really drill down. We really drill down on the year. How do we break this up over a quarter? How do we turn this into micro actions? How do we actually accomplish this year's goals? That's the most important. But the 3 and the 5 year goals, those all have to be in harmony, meaning that the 1 year goal puts them on track to accomplish the 5 year vision. And so it all has to be harmonious. All 3 of those categories, the 1, 3, and 5, have to be according to the SMART goal metric. The SMART goal metric is having goals that are specific, measurable, relevant. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So when you measure a goal against this metric, that's when you know this is something that's real. It's not just an idea. It's not pie in the sky. I want a house one day. If you have an idea, you're never going to hit an idea. It's impossible to hit because it's not a target. It's not something that's well-defined. Only things that are well-defined have ever the remotest chance of being achieved. So this is the very first thing we do at our company, because it's impossible to expect our people to believe in our goals and go after what we want and to care about our brand before they care about their brand, before they care about their goals. It's never going to happen. It just will not happen. We will not get the best. So if you have a successful company today, if things have been going well for you and you have not yet done these things, congratulations. That's amazing. That's amazing that you have had success without really, truly tapping into what your people want. And by doing that, by going deep with what your people want, you create an endearment. You create a credibility for yourself and for your organization to say, wow, this place actually cares about me. They're actually committed to my goals. And it's really kind of a selfish ambition anyways at a surface level for a business owner to go this direction, because it's entirely the first step to tap into the greatest potential of the organization at scale, is to get a group of people who are actually intentional about what they do there every day and committed and engaged for themselves, not for you. There's a reason why 75% of the American workforce is absolutely tapped out. They're totally disengaged. Okay. The estimates on Google, if you search this on Google, it's going to be like, 37% of the American workforce is actively disengaged. No, 75% is a low number. Let's look at the other 25% that remain. That's not engagement. That's not engagement. 25% just come in and they've got character. That's what that is. They have a character and they were raised well by a daddy who said, you need to come in on time. You need to work hard all day. And that's for you. That's called character. That's not engagement. 99% of the American workforce is actively disengaged. The majority of the world is actively disengaged. even in places where they're physically hungry, and God bless them, that creates the most tenacious work ethic is people who are physically hungry. And I'm looking for those people. Who is physically hungry? Who is actively running away from a past experience that's so scary? It's such a monster of a scenario that it scares me to death to ever imagine myself going back there again, or my kids being subjected to that. I'll raise my hand. I have that experience. I've touched the hot stove. I'm like, forget stoves, man. We're ordering out tonight, baby. I'm not doing the stove thing. You can cook your own food. I'm running away from that. The harsh experiences of a life is what causes people to run quickly the other direction. So I'm looking for hungry people, but even hungry people, physically hungry people, are not fully engaged. They're motivated, but they're not engaged. Engagement, like real connection, happens when there's clarity of what are we trying to accomplish and why. And that's the piece that without actually drilling down on people's true desires, intentions, goals, what do I want in life? That's what I want. What do I need in order to accomplish that? I need all these things. I need these ridiculous amount of resources. I need $8 kabillion. How do I get $8 kabillion? By getting $1 kabillion. How do I get $1 kabillion? And you start to fraction off the results that you need. And that's the magic of you as a business owner. Most business owners are just glorified employees who found a way to do something that was valuable and went off and did it on their own. That is the majority of business owners. They're just evolved employees. But to move from an employee business owner, an operator, to an entrepreneur, leader, guide, mentor, this is a totally different mindset. Okay? And it all revolves around who do I have on my team and what are their goals? To move into that realm is so massively powerful. To be able to tap into your people's desires. Now, business owner, even those who are not yet evolved from just being a glorified employee, the value that every single business owner has is an intimate understanding of how the marketplace works. And that is not something that the employee, W-2, the person working for someone else, most have no awareness of what the marketplace is or how it works. There's exceptions to this rule, and typically those exceptions are employees who have been raised by entrepreneurs, who have had the family business. I've had several of those employees, and day one, they're amazing. I'm like, why do you understand me better than most of our other team members? It's because my mom ran this thing. My dad ran this thing. I get it. It's hard. And they have like a level of respect and appreciation for an owner that's just so refreshing. And it's so precious too. And business owner, like, you need to recognize that and appreciate that level of awareness from those people. But we need to also respect and appreciate the lack of awareness of people. And we need to see that not as an inconvenience for us and a problem for us, but an opportunity and something that we're empathetic to. We're empathetic that this person doesn't understand how the marketplace works. We're empathetic to the fact that they just came to us and asked us for $1 an hour raise, $2. They asked us for a raise because they've been here for a long time. We need to be empathetic regardless of how stupid that is. And that is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous way to operate as an employee. Hey, boss. Hey, daddy. Hey, daddy with the money. Can I have some more of it? I've been here a long time. I've done what you've asked me to do. Can I have more value? That's ridiculous. And every business owner understands this, but most business owners still play that game. They still do that dance. They do the dance that leads to nowhere. Because most business owners don't know how to have that conversation. They don't know what to ask for in return. They don't actually know how am I supposed to guide this? So you're playing two different games, business owner. Business owner, you are playing the game where you actually operate in the marketplace. You operate according to a value exchange. You exchange value for value. You operate knowing that if you lapse in value and somebody else comes and provides more value, that they take your customer, they take your boss, they take your employment, in other words, and you are instantly fired. But yet over here, when you're talking to your employees, you're playing a different game of entitlement, of you've been here a long time, or inflation has been a real problem. Can I get more money because the higher cost of living? It's a nonsense world. It's a absolute fiction for anybody to be operating that way. And it's a shame on us, business owners, for continuing to propagate this game, for continuing to play this game with employees. It's stupid. It's toxic for them. It's terrible for you. And it has no place in a growing business, a thriving business. So I want to give you some examples of this, okay? So we've talked about tapping into our team's true dreams, goals, ambitions. Wow. What that will do for you alone on day one, just asking these questions and drilling down on this, the type of credibility relationship that this creates, and rightfully so, because this is the first time that anyone has actually held that person accountable to asking and really knowing. That's like unbelievable. That's an unbelievable value you can get from a business owner. It's incredible. And that's genuine care and concern. That's a foundation of a powerful relationship. So just do that. And then have a heart of intention of actually supporting them in that. Now, the next thing is, okay, we're on this journey. Most of our goals will revolve around financial compensation, of course, in the premise of working and being in a business. Like the resource of money allows for the personal and professional goals to flourish. So like we need to make more money in this space. And as I mentioned, the thought process of most employees is, I've been here for 3 years and I've done a good job. I've done all the things that you hired me to do. And to me, I'm like, in what world is that reinforced with additional value? When your child stands up and starts walking, we reward them for that. Our kids, right? We gave them candy every time they went to the bathroom. It's like, I don't get candy going to the bathroom anymore as a 36-year-old man. I'm not sure I ever did, but that would have stopped a long time ago. It's like, okay, now you're expected to do that well and go through all the steps and hopefully wash your hands. And then you get a candy. But at a certain point, it's like, you don't get candy for that anymore. That's expected of you. See, as a parent, it would be toxic if I continued to give them candy as they're 12 years old using the bathroom properly. That would be poor parenting, especially if I'm giving them now 2 candies because you've been doing it for a long time and you've done it so well. Like, in what world, guys? I'm giving you permission, business owners. Start operating like a dang parent, okay? Start acting like a loving and nurturing parent to your employees, because that's what people need, especially employees in America. Especially American employees who have never felt the sting of real suffering, of real struggle, of real financial loss, any sort of context to know how hot that stove is.